Yo, yo, yo. What is good, y'all? DPS podcast. That's Damage Per Second podcast. Back again on a fine Thursday night. Episode 140. Getting it started. Hope you guys have had a wonderful day. My day has been pretty stressful, but I'm not going to complain. What's up, True Serum? How you doing, bro? Hope you guys are having a great, awesome evening. We're going to give you a great, awesome show. Ain't that right? My co-host, Gamer Forte.
It's always right. It's been a very interesting up and down day. You know, stuff just popped off in the last 15 minutes, and now we got got people celebrating and really don't know what they celebrate yet. But,
they sure don't.
We'll talk. We'll talk about. Trust me, as much as we need this to be over, it ain't over yet.
Yeah. And if you look on the screen, that this is gameplay of Battlefield 2042. Me and Gamer Forte was out here handling folks, putting hands on people.
Yeah, you definitely had a really. I already know what game this is. This game was going to make it onto the show.
They was not happy with us. Not happy at all. They was upset. They was cursing the day we were born. But me and Forte played some Battlefield 2042 last Saturday night. I think it was
Saturday. It was Saturday.
Yep. And we had a good time. I have since then I've played twice since then.
Really?
So, yeah. No one else was around, so I played on my own. Had to get I'm trying to get all of the attachments unlocked on the guns that I like.
Takes a while.
It does take a while. I'm not going to quite go the bot route that some people have gone with, just going up against bots to get everything unlocked.
It's not as satisfying.
It's not. So I'm just going to do it the legit way. Not necessarily. I'm not saying that's not legit. I'm just going to do it the regular way.
Just do team deathmatch. It's the fastest way to do it.
Well, that's all I'm doing anyway, because I can't stand Rush. I can't stand Conquest. I can't stand.
Conquest is God.
No, it's not, man. It's too many
Conquest is God.
People flying down on me like flying squirrels. I'm getting hit by trucks and tanks.
See, you're trying. See, this is the thing about Conquest. You're trying to affect the battle in multiple ways. Conquest is all about running with your team, go to certain areas of the map, get control of that area of the map, and move on to something different. You, instead of worrying about the whole battlefield, you worry about your little piece of the battlefield.
Too much going on, man. I just can't look. Give me a smaller map. I like TDM, man. I'm just gonna stay over here. Whenever you want to play TDM, you hit me up. I'm join you.
But don't you love when you're? But the couple of times you did play Conquest, don't you love when you're just looking at the map and just knowing that everything that's going on at the F flag and D flag that's over 600 meters away is like a completely different battle from what you're having right where you are.
I mean, it is pretty epic, and there's 64. Is it on 100? Is
164 on 64?
Yeah, 64 on 64, which is ain't nobody really doing it like that. And it's crazy. It's crazy they get the Frostbite engine to do it, of all things. And it's wild. It's just way too much stuff. And I feel irrelevant when I play it like that, because it's if I get 30 kills, I feel like it doesn't matter, because if we can get completely destroyed, demolished, and I'll have a great game. But it just feels like you having a great game means nothing.
Yeah, but that means that's why they do squads, though. That's why they do best squads at the end of the Conquest games and stuff. So even if your team loses, your squad will still get ranked. You can still have the number one squad in the game, and your team lost because your squad did everything possible for your game, for your team to win. It's just that the rest of your team sucked.
And look, I see that in TDM, and it's 16 on 16. And I'll be like, bruh, I did this one match when I was playing by myself. Was either Sunday night or it was Monday. I think it probably was Monday. And I'm playing by myself, and it's me and two other guys on the team that's actually doing stuff. One dude was so irate at the rest of our team for just camping in TDM, of all things. I understand camping in freaking 64 on 64 there's tanks and Black Hawks everywhere, people dropping bombs on you and crap. Like, I understand, you know, like being a bit more tactical there. Why are you doing all that in TDM? And dude was just like, we gonna lose because you guys won't get out of this one building. These guys are sticking in this one building, and I mean, I was fine. They wanted to be a big decoy. They were sitting in this one building. They trying to blow the building up and everything. They attacking them, and I'm just kind of just killing everybody that's not even paying attention because they're too busy looking at that one building. But it's just, dude was right. We still lost by like 20, and it wasn't close, but like. Me and then two other guys were at the like you know, plus 25 kills at the top of the leaderboard. Everyone else was like 10 or under, and it was just like, what are y'all doing? And I understand, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like the kind of person that where I need, when I play team deathmatch or I play like an arena shooter kind of game, well, at least I prefer where it's less than double digits per team. Like, COD is like 6, Halo is 4, Rogue Company, depending on the mode, is 4 or 6. I just, yeah, I'm good with that. You know, like, that's why I don't like big team battle in Halo. I always couldn't stand it. Too much going on. I can't stand the dudes that jump into vehicles immediately. Y'all suckers. Y'all scared. Yeah, jump in the vehicle as soon as possible and then be talking trash because you're shooting somebody from like 500 feet in the air. You stink.
Well, you were playing the lowest count of Battlefield, what, 16? Yeah, 32, 16 on 16, which feels like big team battle.
Yeah, pretty much. But the map is so much smaller, so it's contained. You know, it's
contained.
You don't have to run around to find somebody. Well, shout out real quick to Abdel114 for subbing to the channel. I appreciate you, bro.
Right, shout out to you, Adele. Yeah, you missed it like last week before we played, like right before I want to say Friday was the last day they did it. Team deathmatch, they had 64. It was 32 on 32 for 3 days. They had like a temporary playlist where it was 64 players and 32 on 32, and that was pretty crazy.
I'll pass.
It's crazy.
But look, we gotta do it more. We gotta get more people in. I'm seeing more and more people playing Battlefield, which is cool. You know, the game is fixed, and it's just good to kind of play some things differently every now and then. I'm getting kind of bored with the same games over and over again. So, getting learning new maps, the feel of new weapons, the feel of different games, and just playing competitive shooters is what I like to do when I'm not, you know, beating games, which is what I've been doing over the weekend. So
you use cover very well, sir.
Oh, thank you. I beat Oxenfree 1, the first one, over the weekend.
You said you was trying to get it done before the new one came out.
Right, and the new one came out yesterday. I haven't got a chance to play it yet because yesterday I went to the dentist and I was all drugged up and loopy afterwards.
How many cavities?
Hey, look, man, we can all in my mouth, man. It was one. It was just one bad one that I had to get taken care of.
It's like, oh no, one bad one. Yeah, you're 40 years old, man. You're due one.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good now. It's all fixed. But I was a little loopy, just tired yesterday, so I didn't play anything really yesterday. And today I've been playing a lot of trying to help my friend Numsy get through Diablo 4, and I'm starting to kind of, I don't know, man. Diablo 4 is starting to annoy me, and we were kind of discussing just like the nature of the whole process of like when you go up world tiers and stuff like that, and you're like, you pretty much have to junk all your loot, and the way you try to do builds. Like a lot of these builds in Diablo 4 are very like specific to the kind of gear that you have. So you need so you're almost relying on RNG after you do you go up a world tier and you're trying to get like new gear. You almost have to really hope RNG gives you similar stuff that you had before so you can do the same build. If not, you're pretty much gonna have to do a different kind of build, because what's gonna end up happening Yeah, you're just gonna end up just getting bodied. I'm in world tier like 4, getting bodied by mobs, just like some random frog just whooping me. I'm just like, nah, man. Like I just literally came off of world tier 3, just destroying everybody, and then now I come over here and I'm getting slapped up by a toad. Like, what is going on? Like, nah, I'm just.
Well, that's why you're supposed to like have builds that have hybrid builds that you can take into the next world tier, so you can like be 1 piece away or 2 pieces away when you do go up in the tier. All you're looking for is like 1 piece or 2 pieces of whatever gear you're looking for, and then that will help you like progress through the new one, because there is a sharp decline in how much damage you do and how much damage they do to you when you go to 4. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't know. Maybe I need to find a very like a universal build that's just very more versatile than what the ones I've been
just
running.
One that can get you through the beginning parts of switching. Because like I just have a generic build when I switch world tiers, because like if you try to be very specific with your build when you first switch, it's not going to work out too well, because you're going to have 1 or 2 things that's really good, but then you're not going to either do enough damage, or you could be real tanky, but you're not dishing out. You're taking too long to kill things, or you're a glass cannon, but you can't take no damage. So you got to kind of.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm a glass cannon. I can do a ton of damage on things, but as soon as somebody like grazes me, it's just I'm dead.
Like my knee is gone.
Right. So and about well, I didn't. So let me. I don't know if you know about this, because I feel like I barely talked to you over the past week. So I was out here, trying to work out and stuff, and I'm doing some things. And you ever wonder if it was possible to pull both of your hamstrings in the same day?
What?
I said this. Have you ever wondered?
No, that's up there
possible.
That's up there with. Did you ever wonder if it was possible to get a cold and to get sunburn in the same week?
Which we now know it's possible because of you. Which
is definitely possible, but so this is in that category. So no, I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I pulled both hamstrings.
That happens, but see, that would have to simultaneously happen.
No.
So what, you just push through? Did you two push through and said, screw my one hamstring, I got 2 of them? What did you do?
So this is what happened. And I stretched too, okay? I was stretched. I went jogging, right? I stretched. I'm all stretched. I stretched for like good 10, 15 minutes, man. I was trying to prepare myself. I go jog. I got 2 blocks away from my house. 2. Left hamstring pulled. I'm like, how?
Did you stop?
Let me say how it happened, right? I pull up to, so you know how like I'm jogging through my neighborhood. I pull up at a curb, like where you're about to go across the street, and I'm just trying to, I'm a responsible adult. I stopped. There was a car that was going to stop. It stopped at like the stop sign and everything, but like I pulled up because you never know, people might just keep going and hit you. So I pulled up. I wasn't going that fast, but when I pulled up, my hamstring said, "Oh no." I wasn't ready. My hamstring was like, I'm not ready. And so, it pulled, and I was like, so I went over to this tree, and I just kind of stood there, hoping maybe I could just like stretch it out. But nope, it was a wrap. So I limped back. So look, I limped back home. Okay. Which of course took forever.
How far away were you?
I was only 2 blocks. 2 blocks.
Blocks.
I limped back home.
The longest 2 blocks ever. Go ahead.
I limped back home as soon as I get in the house, and I walked up to the island in my kitchen, and I put it. The other hamstring pulled.
What?
I didn't do anything.
You pull a hamstring walking?
I didn't do anything. I just stood there. I'm leaning against the island in the kitchen, and the other one just said, "Yeah, I'm a join lefty and give up too." And it's just like, bro, what? my freaking wife laughing at me, my kids laughing at me. I feel disrespected and embarrassed. I'm just like, good grief. So like I'm all night. Monday night was just torturous because I was just like, you can't sleep because it's like, as soon as you kind of bend your leg a little bit, that hamstring goes hi again. and so it's good now. It's better now. I know I can't run. Like I've played sports all my life. I know like when your hamstring pulls are so frustrating because you'll be like, it's healing. It takes forever to heal.
Yeah, it does.
But you'll be just walking and think you're fine. You'll think you're okay because it's walking is okay. But as soon as you try to run, that's when your hamstring reminds you we're not good. We are not okay, sir. So, Aram suggests when I was 42, I ran a half marathon, slow-mo out, destroying his legs, jogging. Aram, look. First of all, I don't know if you have played as many sports as I did. I destroyed my legs a long time ago. Okay, like football, basketball.
20 years ago.
I have messed everything up before. Like my stuff is bad. It's bad now. Like I've had multiple high grade ankle sprains. I've had nearly torn Achilles tendons. I've had a lot of stuff. I've had separated shoulders, broken collarbones from football. I've had a lot. Okay, so just
did you pull
the
up
fact
like
that I can still jog and do stuff now is I'm happy for it. What you saying?
Did you pull up like someone shot you when you fuck with that hamstring pop? Cause I'm just in my mind imagining you run, jogging down the street and you get to the corner. It's like, how people just be sitting in their porch minding their own business, but really just watching people running around the street. Yeah. They probably saw you jogging, and all of a sudden it was like, pow, something fucking happened. And then down go slow-mo. What happened?
I didn't fall, okay? I didn't fall.
Well, I guarantee there was a lean.
I don't think it's as bad a pull as I've had in the past. I've had a torn hamstring before. I actually got scar tissue on the one the first one. I got scar tissue that just crisscrosses my muscle back here. I've seen it through MRIs when I went to physical therapy a while ago, and I didn't even realize it was that bad because I remember playing football. I know we so far out of gaming right now. My bad. But I played football. I played football. I played like 2 games of football on a torn hamstring, which was stupid. I should have just shut myself down instead of doing that. But like,
and they
that's
tell
where
you
that comes from.
They tell you that all accidents happen within a mile of your house, and this dude had both his knees popped. That's the 2 blocks from his crib.
What, my knees, my hamstrings. Okay,
it was okay. Both hamstrings. God damn. I bet you probably woke up sore as hell that next morning.
Dude,
that next morning you probably couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom.
Dude, I almost missed my dentist appointment.
Damn.
Cause I took some Motrin. I normally don't take anything because I used to. I don't know. Like people take like stuff like Percocet or like really strong stuff like opiates to deal with pain. That stuff doesn't do it because I used to take that stuff when I was playing sports and after a game you just be all sore all over. So I get nothing from that stuff. It does nothing for me now. So for me, I don't take anything because I notice now to get anything out of an opiate to kind of deal with pain, I gotta take some real strong stuff like Vicodin or even stronger, and it's just like I'm not doing that to myself, especially considering like we can get into a whole different podcast about that kind of thing, but I just like now if I get injured or anything, I normally don't take anything at all, but because it was the hamstring, because it was bothering me, I took a little 2 or 3 Motrins and I went to sleep.
Opioids.
And when I woke up, man, I was like, I planned on doing work in the office,
You
and
ain't
then,
gonna do
well, in my office in my house, of course, because I work from home, and then going to my dentist appointment. And when I woke up, it was just like 11:20, and I was just like, my appointment's at noon, and I'm like, what happened? And my kids is just, and my wife is just like, yeah, we knew you was hurting, so we just let you sleep. I was like, yeah, but now I'm rushing to get to this appointment, so
It barely can walk.
right, and can barely walk. So yes, new podcast, Growing Old with SloMo. Yeah, we can have some stories. Anyway, look, let's get into this, man. What are we? We did 20 minutes in, and all I've talked about is all my aches and pains. So
Hey man, it's a lot of people in the chat that's agreeing with you though, man. Dorian Gray up here talking about when the clouds come and his arthritis hits. I know what that's like, because when I had my car accident, it's like whenever the weather changes, like cold, rain, it's like I feel it in my leg. I'm like, oh, and I got a rod in my leg, so I really feel it.
that's why you feel it in your leg, yeah.
Yeah, I feel it. It's like literally, it's like, oh, it's about to be a bad day today when I wake up, because I'll wake up and like, even to this day, and this happened back in 2016. So even to this day, if I wake up and it's like gonna be a bad rainy day or a cold, chilly day, as soon as I wake up in the morning, I feel like my leg is like a log, and I gotta be like, whoa, I gotta warm it up. It's crazy, bro. So people, it ain't no joke. It ain't no joke.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's so we don't want to, we can get up out of here, and I can put this heating pad on my leg.
It's me, Mario.
Leave me alone. Yes, Mario. So we're gonna get into this talk about Nintendo, right? So Nintendo there's a rumor out there that Nintendo is going to be dropping the next Nintendo console. I don't want to call it, I was going to initially title the topic the Switch 2, but there's no actual guarantee that's exactly what it is. It could be a brand new console. It could be
stick with what works.
Again,
They better stick with what works.
which is true, but Nintendo has a tendency
I
to
know
not
they
do
do
that. They have a tendency to not stick with what works and then go completely out of the left field. So it could be a Switch 2, and that would be smart for them to kind of keep within the same paradigm of the Nintendo Switch, and people thinking, hey, it's just like what I already love but better. But this all came out from the Microsoft FTC preliminary injunction hearing, which we're going to be talking about a lot more later in the podcast. But some court documents show that Microsoft was under the impression that this game would come out in early 2024. Now, the new hardware, the new console or hybrid or whatever the heck it's going to be, will be coming out in 2024. Now, some people may think, well, so what that Xbox thinks that? They're not Nintendo, they're a competitor, why would they know? Well, Microsoft is a publisher. They compete with Nintendo and Sony and also put their games on Nintendo and Sony's platforms. So they have especially with ZeniMax Media now, you got ZeniMax games, Bethesda games that are on the Nintendo Switch. You have Minecraft that's on the Nintendo Switch, which they make. They would definitely have an idea due to their dealings with Nintendo in regards to a timetable of where or when the next Nintendo hardware is coming out. By the way, I did want to do proper sourcing of this. This is coming from Tom Henderson / Inside Gaming, that this rumor is coming from, and Tom Henderson, and they've been fairly accurate when it comes to leaks in the past. They were the ones that leaked the whole Project Q worthless handheld that Sony's coming out with. So they're the ones that knew about the PS5 Pro, as well as the detachable disk drive for the PlayStation. They're really on top of things. But to quote the part of the the court document. It says Switch was released 3 years earlier, and Nintendo is expected to release the successor to the Switch as early as next year, whereas PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S are at a different stage of the console life cycle. So because the Nintendo Switch started their 9th generation piece of hardware early because the Wii U did so poorly, they're already on their way to their 10th generation, which, you know, would be whatever this is when it comes out. Forte, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this Nintendo hardware is coming out too soon, too late? Was it right on time? What are your thoughts on it?
Man, me personally, it really just depends on the type of system that they're releasing. I think if they're going to go more traditional, then I think they're a little too late. I feel like they probably should have jumped on it a little bit earlier. But if it's more of a if it's going to still be like the more hybrid type of system that they have with the Switch, with just updated hardware, I think it's about that time for them to do. I mean, we've seen, you know, systems like the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally. You know, we're seeing very, very powerful handheld systems out there that can still be hooked up to like to a TV or something through some sort of a dock. So it's not like. So I think we're getting to the point where we're going to really, really see that side of the gaming industry really, really, you know, take off because, you know, Nintendo proved that people want to play on the go like that, not just on their TV. So I think Nintendo, if they go in that direction, then they're right. They're like kind of right on schedule. And it's about that time because, you know, a lot of these games and stuff, even though Nintendo games aren't really that demanding, we are getting to a point where a lot of people want to start playing other games on the Nintendo Switch, especially like with Microsoft and their promises and their deals to be able to bring games like Call of Duty over there. And people are going to want to play, you know, subpar experience type games like that, especially if Nintendo wants to kind of stand out in a market that's really, really becoming saturated with these newer handhelds.
Yes, that's true. You know, you got the there's a new one now called the Akoya or something like that. The Chinese come from China, and that's even more powerful than the ROG Ally, which is more powerful than the Steam Deck, which is more powerful than Nintendo Switch. So it is pretty competitive now. Although even though what the Nintendo Switch has over those other ones is just the ease of use.
And their IPs.
And their IPs natively. Natively, because you can play all their IPs on these other, you know, handhelds. You know, it's whether Nintendo likes it or not. You know, so I think there's a far bigger audience for the handheld market for people who don't want to be a tinkerer, but then for the tinkerers, the Nintendo product is only as good as the way you can emulate it onto better hardware. But
I do. No, I do.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that we have an idea of whether it's going to be traditional or not based upon the fact that a lot of the rumors are saying that power wise it's going to be essentially like a PlayStation 4. So
it's gonna be a handheld.
So basically, it's gonna be a handheld again. That's the really kind of around the power level of the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
kind of all. That's kind of all they really need. I mean, because I think the problem with the Switch, it isn't the fact that it's just underpowered. It's the fact that it's so underpowered to the point where a lot of the, you know, current gen games just, you know, a lot of people just don't want to bring their games because they just know they're not going to run well on there, versus like something like the Steam Deck. Yeah, people are willing to let their games run at 720p, but as long as we can get, you know, a little bit better texture quality when it comes to those type of games they want to make, frame rate stability can
they need solid frame rates. Like that needs to be
all it is.
The focus of this next platform is that we already know that people will accept less than ideal modern visuals for your platform. They're fine with that. You have a different kind of visual aesthetic that works and is less demanding on the hardware than what you would expect from, say, PlayStation first party or Xbox first party. Listen, that said, performance is performance. and there's only, I think, the extending of Nintendo getting a pass on performance can only go so far. If this next hardware comes out and Tears of the Kingdom can't run at 60 on it, people are going to say something, because I think that that's just like egregious that you just dropped a new, completely different SKU with a different SoC, a different APU in it, and it still can't run your flagship most popular game at 60 frames per second. It's just unacceptable. So why did you release it outside of, it's just going to sell, like crazy? So I just, hopefully they actually can actually deliver on that in a good way. But anything else you want to say about this before we move on?
No, I do think that next year will be the year that we do get the new Nintendo system. I'm still on the boat that they still want to, pass and be the, number one sold console of all time, because they're really, really close to it. But after thinking about it, I don't think a new system would it slow them down from hitting it? Yes, but I also think that the Switch will still be a system that they'll support and still make content or make systems for at least the next couple of years. So even knowing, yes, when they bring out a new system, it's going to slow down their pursuit of getting to 155 million, I still think they'll get there. They'll just get there.
They'll get there eventually. Yeah, and it's because there's going to be people that are going to. I still like, and I think Doug Bowser, the president of Nintendo, came out and said that they're not giving up on supporting the Nintendo Switch. So
yeah, they're going to keep making. They're just going to they're probably once they get. And this might be a good.
A lot of their games will be cross-gen. A lot of cross-gen titles.
Yeah, this would be good for a lot of people that just want to get into a handheld ecosystem too, because I think the only reason Nintendo really keeps the price of the Switch as high as they do is because that's considered their marquee product right now. Once they release a new system, I think it will be a little bit easy for Nintendo to step back and say, okay, we're going to charge $350 whatever for the new system. The Nintendo Switch and the OLED, you'll see a price reduction on those. Probably you'll see a regular Switch probably going for $250 or $200, and the OLED going for like $279 or something like that. I think you'll get a chance to see that hardware drop in price because it's not their number one selling thing anymore, and that would also propel the numbers on it too.
I wish the wife didn't get me this old Switch OLED on my birthday, because then she just would have waited a year. She could have got.
SloMo, you get birthdays every year. Every year there's a new birthday.
Yeah, but she would be like, I got you that last year. All right.
Did you just take it and trade it in and go towards whatever the new one is?
You know what?
Yeah,
that might end up being the move. Moving on though, we want to talk about so this is an interesting one, right? And it's kind of like, this is the rumor for this, I think originally came from Jeff Grubb. I think Jeff Grubb was the first person to speak on this, but the additional details or everything that I'm getting here is from gamesindustry.biz. But EA has announced a new studio, and that new studio is making a new Black Panther game. And so the new studio is called Cliffhanger Games, and they got a lot of people there from like who used to work on Shadow of Mordor and a lot of other games that are like third-person perspective single-player titles, which this is. And so EA seems to be really in that Disney Marvel bag, because this is like the third game they're doing. They're doing a Iron Man game. They're doing I heard Amy Hennig is developing a game that they're publishing, a Captain America game, and now we got the Black Panther game by this brand new studio. Now I do have to appreciate EA, even though they used to talk so poorly about single player games, really investing in them and really putting a lot of time and effort into them. But something that I found a little worrisome is there's a rumor that you will not be playing as T'Challa, Black Panther. So I mean, I don't know what's going on. Are you his sister? Are you his father? There was some rumors when the first rumor first came out. There was some rumors that it would be a created character, which I was just like, don't you dare do that, because you know what's gonna happen. People gonna make a white Black Panther. It's gonna be problematic, So let's not do that. But
I mean, that shouldn't even be an option in the game, honestly.
I agree, but it does seem as if also when you have a created character kind of like that, it kind of minimizes the storytelling aspect of things. Like
Right.
how deep the story can get and how much of a personality that the actual main protagonist may have. Because once you make it like any person character, and it's just like a lot less focused on that character's personality and what they really feel and how their reactions, how things are going in the story. All that said, Forte, what are your thoughts on if potentially this might not be T'Challa? Like, how you feel about that? And what do you think would be a suitable alternative?
Well, it's just like anything else. It's just like I wouldn't expect them to make, for a lot of these characters, I always feel like we gotta just stick with the main protagonist, who is the person that is of that character. Especially for T'Challa at this point. Would it be cool if they did? I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with a created character, but like I said, there would have to be some things put in place so people couldn't just break the immersion of what the game is. Because I don't care what people say, even if you go on Twitter and you see other people's T'Challa running around and you see something weird, it's just going to be like, this just is stupid.
Right.
But in general, I just feel like, no, we just honor the character that we have there. I mean, unfortunately, he's not here with us anymore, so I know it's just that they're trying to find
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
They're just, I get what they're doing. They're trying to like find a way to sensibly move on with the character.
Yeah, here's my thought, and I wonder if do you think, because Cliffhanger Games said that they were working closely with Marvel. Do you think there is some apprehension with doing T'Challa, considering that people feel, after the MCU, he's kind of synonymous with Chadwick?
Yeah, well, it's just like with any of those characters. Like, think about where the MCU is right now. Like, you went from having all these recognizable characters as part of the cinema and movies and stuff, to now we're dealing with all the B tier. And some of these characters, they're not really B tier. They're just not well-known characters like, Iron Man and Thor and everything. And we still get those characters. But I just think at a certain point, they're just trying to find a way to move on with Black Panther. And they don't know how to do it. They don't know how.
I think a legit way of moving on is to have the Black Panther that everyone, when they think about Black Panther, they don't think about Shuri. They don't think about what's the father's name that fought Captain America and T'Chaka, I think that's his name. Yeah, I think they don't think about the old. They think about T'Challa. That's the Black Panther that they think about. And
that's who they think about. Yeah,
that's not. Look, and I'm not trying to disrespect Chadwick whatsoever. He did an awesome job portraying that character. Tons of respect to him, and tons of respect that he gave the role and what it meant for Black youth to see a superhero that they can look up to, But he's not that dude though. Like, you gotta at some point move on, and I think moving on is getting another Black voice actor to portray. Look, they did it with the Avengers. They've done it. None of the MCU actors are portraying the voices of these characters in the games. Go ahead and get someone different to do the voice of T'Challa and kind of rip that Band-Aid off.
Well, I agree. I think that's what they need to do, is rip the Band-Aid off. But I know there's a lot of people out there with pretty much any of these characters. It's like, even like, think about it. Like, if for a lot of people, when the Iron Man game comes out, if it doesn't look like Robert Downey Jr., it's not gonna be good.
And that's what So when Crystal Dynamics, which the trailer I'm running right now is when it brought Black Panther as a DLC into the Marvel's Avengers game, which completely bombed. But when people first saw the Avengers game, they were thrown off that the Avengers did not look like the actors from the MCU. But that's not the Avengers either. It's just like, and it's really more about the fact that like the game went for a somewhat close to photorealistic kind of look, and so because no one's cared that the Marvel Heroes and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Nintendo Switch didn't look like the actual MCU.
I got a better one for you. A lot of people didn't really. I really heard nothing about Guardians of the Galaxy when it came out.
Yeah, or Spider-Man. No one cared that Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man didn't look like what's the kid that plays Spider-Man now? What's his name?
Oh, you talking about
Tom Holland?
Tom Holland.
Yeah, no one said he don't look like Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire or the other guy I can't remember now. But it's like for some reason
that's like, but he doesn't. Okay, but that's the thing though. To a lot of people, Tobey Maguire, and not Tobey Maguire, but Tom Holland hasn't hit status. He hasn't hit like that Wolverine status when it comes to like Hugh Jackman yet. There's a lot of people. Like, I don't know if you saw like they had the high res video or pictures of Deadpool 3 came out, and they show Hugh Jackman in the traditional yellow jumpsuit. I was like, yo, this looks crazy. I can't wait for this.
Which is sad. All the X-Men movies, we never got that look.
We never got that look in Wolverine.
Wolverine look as an X-Man. He wore those colors primarily for the most part, which is just like, come on, bro. Like everything after Jim Lee and Chris Claremont, I'm really going super nerd talk here. Penciling and writing X-Men comics that's how Wolverine looked. So I'm glad they finally doing it. But good grief,
I love that they're doing it. But that's the thing, I think, and like I said, ultimately you're absolutely right. They need to pull these band-aids off. But it's like it's so many different conversations about. How do you do it? It's like, what does the next Iron Man look like? And I think at a certain point they have to do it. It's just like with Master Chief with the Halo TV show. I don't think people had a problem with Master Chief taking his helmet off. I think they had more of a problem with it happening in a TV show.
A trash TV show
versus something in a game. And and it's the opposite when it comes to the stuff with Marvel. They need to move on with these characters in the MCU proper, the cinema side of it, so they can move on in other media, because that's when people in their minds are going to be like, okay, I'm good with moving on from these characters, because it's going to be backlash with the Iron Man game. It's going to be backlash with a lot of different things until they move on with these characters in other medias first, where they're more prominent. And then that's when you'll see, it not be an issue. But they do need to just put a Band-Aid off. You're absolutely right about that.
Shout out to Luca in the chat. She says Tom Holland is extremely popular. Well, I agree. And I mean, he plays everybody now. And that the new Spider-Man model looks a lot like him for real. I wonder if Insomniac made that change to make him more similar, because it's still a different like actual face model, like as an actual person that volunteered to have their face put onto the model. But it's so like the previous Spider-Man, I didn't think there was anything wrong with the way he looked. He looked a little older.
No.
But I thought that was fine. I thought he was supposed to portray a little bit of an older Spider-Man. But then when they did the remaster, they got a new face model. And when I saw the guy, he looked younger. He does look a lot more like Tom Holland, but he still doesn't. But the thing was, I think Luca, to your point in the chat, no one complained about the way Peter Parker looked when they originally dropped the game in 2018. No one said, "Oh, he doesn't look like Tom." The heck is this? No one cared.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's And she's right. And like I said, it's the same thing with the event, with the not event, with the Guardians of the Galaxy game. Nobody really cared. I just think there's been now Guardians is completely different because there's only been movie wise one set of people that's played those characters. Whereas with Spider-Man, I mean, we're on our third one.
Yeah.
So I think when you're on your third one, it's kind of easier. Like I do think Tom Holland is like the perfect version of what Spider-Man is, because they went back to him in high school and his college years and stuff. So it's the younger version of Spider-Man versus how Andrew Garfield was the older version, and then Tobey Maguire was just the first.
Yeah.
So I think people would like it's this iteration of the character over time, and I think that's the thing that needs to happen with Black Panther and stuff. And I think they're just trying to find a way to do it. Like they moved on with the character in the MCU by making his sister Shuri the Black Panther. And I think people are fine with that, especially with the tributes they paid throughout the movie, especially at the end, how they, paid tribute to him having a son and everything, spoiler alerts to anybody that didn't see, Black Panther 2. But I think that's how they need to do it.
It's been out for long enough.
Yeah, it's been out for long enough. It's been out for over a year. But I just think that's what they need to do. And then once they do it, then we'll be perfectly fine with whatever they do. Because I don't care. I just want to see a good game. And it's real interesting that we were talking about, especially with Spider-Man being synonymous with PlayStation. Everybody kept mentioning Black Panther, like Xbox, try to find a way to get like a game like Black Panther where that could be something that you do inside that superhero niche. And it looks like EA is it doesn't look like it. EA is the one that's doing it, and they're building a new studio. They built a new studio to do it itself.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. I'm happy that they're doing it.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that like the rumors kind of untrue and they just go ahead. They give us a T'Challa that doesn't look like Chadwick, looks like the T'Challa from the comics, where he's a little bit stockier, a little bit more muscular, and there's an actual black male voice actor that's portraying it, and we can just move on. Not that like, and there's no disrespect to the actor or anything. It's just that you can't like. Why keep holding up the IP over something that's not going to change? Right. So move on. The next topic is Sony out here getting ready to spend some money.
They doing what people wanted Microsoft to do, spend billions of dollars on games.
So this is via whatever you want, how you want to say that, Shinobi on Twitter and Nakai Asia. I think I said that correctly. Actually, I'm fairly certain I said that correctly, so I looked up the pronunciation. Nakai Asia. Sony is ramping up spending on games, research and development for the fiscal year 2024, ending March 2024, to over $2.1 billion. Around 40% of its total spending for Sony, surpassing electronics and semiconductors. The figure is 10% higher than last year and double that of fiscal year 2020. So that is pretty interesting. Like, it doesn't mean that we're going to see the end result of this. Like we're luckily not going to see the end result of whatever they're ramping up their spending on. It could be new hardware. It could be changes to a game engine. It could be, more games that won't come out until a few years from now. We don't know. But I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to ask Forte, what do you anticipate this funding going into, considering what we know about the current gaming landscape, what's happening with the ABK deal, and how Sony may want to respond?
The funny thing is, this is coming off the heels of the conversation with them bringing out a mid-gen refresh, and I don't think any of this has anything to do with that, because I think that spending has already been done.
Right.
So I think because mid-gen refresh is sometime next year, hopefully, that's what is being rumored it's going to be. So whatever they're doing with this money is completely separate from that, which is really interesting, because I feel like this is also coming up to their, wanting to have a bunch of live service games out by the year 2025, 2024, 2025. I think a lot of the spending is going there. We've seen, through, the Sharpies that game development for some of their bigger games.
Shout out to the Sharpies and the
shout out to the
interns who don't use them correctly.
Yeah, you got to make sure when you make photocopies and send them over on fax machines that you're using the correct correct agent to block that stuff out. Right. But we saw that 220 and 225 million dollars on games, which is $500 million almost right there just on 2 IPs. So it's really, really ramping up. And then I also think this is probably part of their ramping up for more of their digital software front when it comes to like movies and stuff like that. They're working on another season of Last of Us Part 2.
Well, this specifically said games research and development. So I do think if whatever they do, say like for example, the Twisted Metal TV show would fall under Sony Pictures.
Well, Sony up for the picture, so that would be something separately.
Right. Right.
This is what people. Well, listen. Microsoft just went out and spent they're about to probably more likely go out and spend $69 billion officially sometime probably next week. And the one thing everybody wanted Microsoft to do is invest in their studios, invest in their culture, put some of this money to that use to actually, better what you already have. And I definitely agree with that. And that's something they should do. This is something that Sony's been doing for a while now. I just think that this probably isn't new for Sony. It's just the fact that a lot of this information is coming out because they want people to know, like, hey, we may not have $30 billion to go out and buy your favorite publisher to bring them underneath the PlayStation banner, but we can still invest $10 to $15 billion on the IPs that we have already to let you know that PlayStation is going to be fine. The fact that they're spent like 2, 3, what is it? It says up to 3.7 or 3.2 billion.
No, it's up to 2.1 billion.
Well, I'm looking at another thing. Like, you got to think Sony literally spent $3.7 billion to consult with a company that doesn't even have to have first party games on their platform in Bungie. That kind of lets you know the time that they're on. If they're willing to do something like that, I think that they're willing to go out and really, really dive deep in the financials on the games that they have. They Avengers by itself, Endgame and Infinity War, both those movies cost over $350 million to make. And you're talking about games that they made with experiences that were literally just off that by $100 million. So I think this is just going to be Sony ramping up a lot of their spending for a lot of the games that's coming out. We got games like Wolverine that's right around the corner. Who knows what kind of budget's going to be put behind that, knowing that Insomniac has pretty much hit a home run for them every time they ask them to release a game. And then this also could be going towards the development and bringing back older IPs and stuff that people want. Like you said, Twisted Metal with another game coming out. It could be older IPs. You got the Horizon multiplayer game that's not getting ready to come out, but that they're actually working on. And we know that the overall development of gas games is very expensive in the beginning, and it becomes fruitful in the end, especially if it's something that catches on. So
yeah,
this is gonna be good for them.
My idea is that it is something that might be something that we haven't actually really seen before yet. Not saying something completely like innovative, like out of left field kind of thing, but something that we can't really wrap our heads around right now. Because a year from now, people would say you're crazy for saying there's going to be a PS5 Pro. There's going to be a handheld PlayStation product that's cloud only. And not cloud only, but remote play only, and not an actual separate device where you can play games natively off of it. People would say you were crazy that they were going to have a detachable drive, but we know all these things are true.
who's to say that some of this isn't this $2 billion isn't to go with acquisitions for it too, though?
That's also true. That could definitely be a part of that as well. Acquisitions could be a part of it. We don't know. So I think it's I think we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think it's pretty interesting that this information comes out around this time.
Yeah. I think, like I said, the most important thing that I think that you could take from this is the fact that whatever this money is, this isn't money that's going towards them creating that PlayStation 5 Pro. Because I think that was already spent because that system's coming in the near future. Development for that has already happened. So whatever this is something that's, additive to that. And that's a good thing for Sony.
And you know what else is a good thing for Sony?
More games on PC, baby.
Yes, right.
Even though that SSD.
Oh my gosh, today has been so good.
Remember, hold on. I just remember when, looking at video of them jumping through the rifts, that can only be done on a PlayStation.
Only
5.
on a PS5.
On PS5.
Only through the magical SSD can you do this. Wrong. Shout out to Nixus being wizards at porting games. I mean, absolutely freaking wizards. I feel like we sing Nixus's praises every podcast, and deservedly so, because it seems like every other podcast we do, Nixus is out here showing y'all how it's done. And so Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is coming out on the 26th of July, which I will be on vacation, so I will be missing out when it first comes out. But I've already played and beat the game on PlayStation before, so I'm not super upset about that. But regardless, we have now confirmation that of the spec sheet that basically you should know where your hardware lands when it comes to how well you're going to play the game. And I gotta say, looks pretty well optimized based upon what I've seen, and I'll show.
I see where I'm sitting at.
Yeah, I'm pretty much right in between amazing ray tracing and ultimate ray tracing.
Same, right there.
Right
that 32
there.
gigs is a problem though.
Yeah, I know. I got 64, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm only sitting at 32. So
I don't have a problem with the RAM. I don't have a problem with anything. The only thing is that my GPU isn't as powerful as, what is that on there?
They want a 4080 and a 7090.
Yeah, my 3080 Ti ain't quite there, but it doesn't really need to be in order to play. Look, what I want to do is, the way I love to play my games, 1440p max settings. Ray tracing is optional, but definitely north of 60 frames per second, and typically in the triple digit range. And that's the way I should be able to play this game. But if you look all the way on the minimum side of things,
yes,
right there at the bottom, it says storage 75. I can't hear.
Yeah,
is that a hard
drive? A hard disk drive, HDD, hard, that means platter drive, sir. It's a platter. Man. It may, the hard drive that makes noises when you install stuff to them. It's one of those type of drives.
Now I think I need to say some things, because there's some people I've seen on Twitter that have a reading comprehension issue. And they seem to think that because they're showing that under the category for 720p 30 frames per second, that if you put in a hard drive, you can only get 720p 30 frames per second. That's not what that means. Like your storage space doesn't generate visuals. It doesn't render anything. It doesn't tell anything to do things. No, that's not how that works. Like I know y'all like completely kind of somewhat ignorant on hardware, but please don't show yourself to be that ignorant on hardware. That's not what that means. Clearly, the reason why that's over on the minimum side of things is that you will be able to run the game, but the level of pixels on screen and the texture level will definitely need to be lower in order for it to not be a mess. But you can still run the game at a higher resolution and higher in visuals with a hard drive if you want to. Now, how that will look, we'll have to see, because there's plenty of PC gamers that are willing to go throw a hard drive on their rig, install that game on there, and see what happens. I don't care, because I'm all SSD right now, and the way SSD prices have been this week, I'm gonna have like a way faster SSD in my rig by the time this game comes out than it's in the PS5 anyway. So it doesn't matter. Amazon Prime,
Prime days were good to me.
Man, I got a Western Digital Black, the SN850X, which is 7,300,000 millibytes per second. Mm-hmm. So I got that for just $60.
Nice.
Yes, and I got a 2 terabyte for $120. So yeah, I got the 1 terabyte for $60, the 2 for $120. So I'm definitely good on storage. They should all arrive on Sunday. That's it. Oh, and by the way, that's faster than the Samsung 990.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So anyway, I think what people don't seem to understand is that they don't understand how the process works of what the CPU does, what the GPU does, what storage really does, and what fast storage can do for you. They don't really quite understand that. They just understand it from the framework of what Sony marketed and explained to them when they marketed the PlayStation 5, which is fine to a degree. Because when you start talking to PC gamers and saying what you can and can't do, like PC gamers, when someone says you can't run that on your hardware, in our minds, we're not thinking at recommended spec. We hear that as, oh, when I try to launch the game, it immediately crashes. That's what we think. Or I'm trying to play the game and it goes down to 0 frames per second because it's really waiting on that mechanical hard drive to grab the assets to be used. No, that's not what we're talking about when we say that it can run on a mechanical hard drive. That what was being done in Rift Apart was not something so completely revolutionary that it only could be done on the PS5. Now, to give further details on this, it is confirmed that Rift Apart on PC will be using Direct Storage 1.2. It will be the first game on PC using Direct Storage 1.2. 1.1 was done by Forspoken and one other game, but I can't remember what that game was. But it also will have better ray tracing. So on PS5, I think they only had ray trace reflections, but on the PC version, you're going to get ray trace reflections, ray trace shadows, and ambient occlusion. So you're going to get all that. One of the developers from Nixus, his name is Richard van der Laan. He explained that direct storage ensures quick loading times and GPU decompression is used at high graphic settings to stream assets in the background while playing. Traditionally, this decompression is handled by the CPU, but at a certain point, there is an advantage to letting the GPU handle this, as this enables a higher bandwidth for streaming assets from storage to the graphics card. We use this to quickly load high quality textures in environments with a high level of detail. And there's another quote out there where he explains how this can be done, whether you're using a NVMe M.2 SSD or a SATA SSD or a mechanical hard drive. But that's it. It just feels good. to see what people been saying all this time come to fruition. That's all I said. It just feels good. You know, don't you feel good, Forte? Feel good. Forte? Did I lose Forte?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I was talking and I forgot I muted myself. No, man, it feels good just for the simple fact that I like this part at the very bottom. You know, you gotta read the fine print. Use of performance enhancement upscaling like NVIDIA DLSS is recommended when using ray trace reflections in combination with ray trace shadows and or ray trace ambient occlusion. Meaning, SloMo, this game, we are literally getting the definitive version
of course
of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. It's gonna be freaking incredible. I think, dude, people slept on how good that game really looked and played on the PlayStation. Like they kind of looked at it as like, oh yeah, it's a Ratchet & Clank game. Ratchet & Clank games always look good.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that game looked phenomenal. Like if you had an OLED and you looked at that thing, like it just looked, it looked crispy, and it's about to get even better. Now it's just, I'm looking at this, man, like the fact it's an NVMe SSD inside of the
fun
PlayStation
game
5.
too. I'm actually kind of excited to go run through it again. Because I haven't played it. I haven't played it since I beat it, and it came out like what, 2021.
Yeah, it came out. It was a launch title. No, it came out the year after, so it was 2020. Yeah,
2021. It's been about 2 years, and
Yeah.
and you know, I think I'm gonna run through that again. It was a lot of fun. Beautiful looking game, cool story, very humorous. I loved it. You know, I liked the first game. I mean, not the first game, but the 2016 Ratchet & Clank was pretty good too. But this one was just, you know, better on all levels. I'm definitely.
So what do you think about people that are saying that this is only possible because of direct storage?
No, because I think that if I recall correctly, no, you can do direct storage on Windows 10. I'll double check. I think you can definitely do direct storage on Windows 10, but I don't think this is only possible due to direct storage. I think it will make things well, I mean, we'll see when, you know, we actually get our hands on the game and can then test it out for ourselves, as well as get like tech tubers doing the testing with various different storage shit. But I believe without direct storage, it still will be, you may get I don't know if you'll get stutters. It depends, because like I do believe Nix's will have this well optimized, well better optimized than other developers have done on PC recently. But I don't think direct storage is 1000% necessary for it. But I do think that like it being there and it should have been more implemented in 2020 by, you know, now in 2023 than it's been so far. But
and the thing is, the one thing I really like about these, like, this is probably one of the more sensible PC specification sheets, because it's a wide berth. It's like, I mean, how often
there is a pretty large gap between amazing ray tracing and ultimate, because the GPU, it's got an 8 gigabyte GPU, which like everyone's avoiding 8 gigabyte GPUs right now because they don't have enough VRAM. But Nix's is like, nah, you could run some ray tracing on that. And it's just like, are you for real with a 3070? So you got a 30, but then like from there the 40, it's like it's a huge gap between the 3070 and the 4080.
Oh well, I mean, but then also the gap, if you go that high, it's the only one that gives you the ability to run at 4K 60. Everything else is 4K 30.
True.
Unless you do 1440p, which most people should be playing that anyway.
Right.
1440p.
That's the sweet spot, man.
It's the sweet spot on PC is gore. And this game's gonna look. This game, I was like up in the air on purchasing this on PC. It was on sale on Steam on Green Man for like, I think it was $47 on sale. And then I saw the specification sheet come out, and I instantly bought it as soon as I saw it. I was like, "Yep, I got to play this on PC."
Yeah, man, I can't wait.
I have to do it.
My only hope of playing it at launch is that, because when I go to on vacation for my second vacation, in a few weeks. I'm going to be using GeForce Now, which has been great so far with what I've been playing it when I went on my first vacation and my testing. I'm gonna buy it on Steam, and I'm hoping that because I got my Steam account linked to GeForce Now, that it shows up on there. I won't know until the day it comes out. But if it shows up on there, I'm gonna be hyped, because then that means that when I do get a chance to do some gaming while I'm on vacation, I'll definitely be playing this.
Think about it. You'll be able to play this on a ROG Ally on recommended settings, and probably turn up the graphical settings to high.
Yeah, it's true. Yep.
You'll be think about you're talking about a handheld that will be able to run 1080p, 60 frames per second, and you'll be able to most likely turn it from medium settings to high settings.
Now, you probably gonna need to be tethered to a wall socket when you do this.
Oh no, you definitely need to do that.
Because with the ROG Ally, you're probably only going to have about a good 10 minutes of gameplay before.
Well, also on the fact that I think doesn't it performance boost when it's plugged into the wall too, like a laptop?
I don't know about.
Or does it maintain its overall performance even unplugged? Because we know how laptops are. You probably wouldn't.
I'm not that well versed on everything with the ROG Ally. I know the battery is not great, and there's been some other issues with the SD reader, and some various other firmware issues and minor hardware problems that people have been having. But I don't know for certain if. Okay. Maybe someone who actually had, like John Wolf, shout out to him, and Kay Asante. They both got ROG Allies, and they've been like tinkering and doing all kinds of stuff in it, so they would know better. But not, I don't know, man. All I know is this game looked great. Thank you, PlayStation. I love to play your games again. The definitive editions on hardware that is superior, and therefore your developers and studios tend to go ham and go all out in order to make sure that we get them singing, and looking beautiful in their best light. We appreciate
yes, sir.
But let's go discuss another.
Yeah, let's discuss that one.
Let's discuss this other one that seems to be a problematic. It's a little.
It's a little more problematic than what we just saw.
Yeah, not as good. Not as happy about this one as I am about the other one. So let's discuss Starfield real quick, because there's a lot to discuss here. I kind of discussed some of it with the lunchtime with SloMo I did a few days ago, where I discussed the AMD exclusive partnership with Bethesda Game Studios on Starfield. Because we all know as PC gamers what that means. That means that AMD is going to lock down any kind of middleware, software, technology that their competitors have to make the game experience better for the gamer. And so what that means is we're going to be stuck with FSR, which is the worst upscaler. If you need a upscaler to run this game at what you will find to be suitable performance, you're going to be having to deal with a much blurrier image with more artifacting and less average frame rates than you would have got from DLSS and even Intel's XESS if you have an Intel GPU. So it's unfortunate, but let's take a look at these specs now. This spec sheet, which AMD's got. I mean, these CPU requirements are ridiculous.
They are ridiculous.
A Ryzen 5 7600 CPU for 1080p?
Bro, I don't even.
1080p? Yo.
Bro, I got a 5950X and I can't even. It's not even good enough.
I'm so glad. I am so glad I upgraded my rig to i7 13700K, because I'm good. Okay, I'm good to go. I'm good to go on 4K in this, as far as this goes, because that 7800 the 7800 X3D is pretty much on par with where my CPU is now. In GPU wise, that 7800 XT is a little bit better than my 3080 Ti, but regardless, that's good. And that also, they don't have storage. So this isn't really, this is just AMD's very much marketed to their own products kind of thing. They don't make storage, so they don't have storage up here. Everything that they showed on this spec list is stuff that they make. That's why they got their motherboards up there, or not necessarily making motherboards, but they have their own branded stuff. So other partners will make a motherboard for them. You know what I mean? Anyway, the CPU requirements are ridiculous out here. Now, we all kind of assumed, based upon that Starfield Direct and the way they were talking about and explaining so much of what's going on, that this is gonna be really, really CPU bound, and there's probably not gonna be any other way around that because of the nature of the game and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. But that's higher than what I anticipated it to be.
Did you see Steam? Did you see the recommended specs on Steam?
Yes, and they don't look anywhere like this. They were far more reasonable. I think they're gonna update those recommended specs on Steam. I do not think that's gonna stay. There's just no that's if this is what's considered recommended, if AMD is right, they lying on Steam.
No, let me ask you something, SloMo. Is this marketing?
Well, yeah, somewhat, yeah, because look, they don't show the NVIDIA equivalent to any of this stuff. So of course they're just marketing their own stuff.
How much of this is marketing just for you to get the new stuff though?
That's true. And AMD isn't above
just marketing new stuff.
No, I was about to say AMD with RDNA 3, they lied on their like benchmark sheets on what the performance was, and every tech tuber called them out on it. So they're not above lying about what it would take to run certain things, or lying about the performance of their own products, in addition to blocking out NVIDIA in DLSS. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I guess we'll have to see when we get closer to September, and it's probably going to be in August because it's coming out the first week of September. Late August is when we would get Bethesda releasing the PC specifications list, and then we'll see what's really going to be running according to them, and knowing, hey, look, everyone's hardware, what you may have to worry about. So I still think this is just I think the CPU, I think that CPU stuff is probably pretty
there
accurate,
is nothing they can tell me. This is how I know this is just the marketing. My 5950X, which is a $700 processor from last generation, the only processor that's better than it is the 7950, the 7590X is the only thing that's better than it. That 7600 Ryzen 5 isn't better than my CPU. On a good day, it's not better.
But still, that's just for 1080p.
Well, the 7700X isn't better.
And that's for 1440p. It's just, you'll be fine, man. You'll be fine.
I might be in line with, I'm probably a little bit behind the 7800 because of just the pure clock speed of each core. Cause I'm still running.
You use a widescreen. You using the ultra wide, right? So.
Oh yeah. I'm more closer to like, I'm in between because I'm running damn near 3K basically almost.
Okay.
With my ultra wide. So I'm not quite 4K, but I'm way over 2K.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would say that this is more, I wouldn't say take this as the gospel, because it's coming from AMD. It's not really coming from Bethesda, but it may be leaning way more towards what we actually going to get.
It might be. I mean, I like how they got motherboards listed on here too. They say here's the whole legendary.
You want to play Starfield? Get the whole package. Get the CPU, GPU, and the motherboard you're going to need. Because clearly, if you're looking at a new CPU to play this, you're going to need a new motherboard that's compatible with it to play it too. So here's the motherboard as well. You know, they definitely out here, man.
Listen, man, that's a $300 motherboard. That AMD X6670, it's a $300 motherboard.
Cha-ching. Hey, look, man.
Listen, man.
Hey,
as soon
AMD is out. Look, man. They know what's up, man.
As soon as Todd Howard came out and said that we're in partnership with AMD to be basically the face of Starfield on PC, I was like, oh no. Oh no, we about to get some marketing, and here it is. It's just hard for me. Like, listen, man, I understand how marketing is, but dude, they're not showing you. They're not even showing you the last generation equivalent to to any of this product. They was like, no, dude, you can't. The old stuff, it don't work.
Which is, look, again, this is why I said we can't trust AMD quite fully here, okay? Because it's clearly they're going to market what they want you to buy, and AMD does not have an incentive to make sure that all of Bethesda's gamers are satisfied with the final product. No, they have zero incentive to do that. Clearly, with the way them doing exclusive partnerships and the way they do their exclusive partnerships, they don't care. Now, Bethesda, on the other hand, is selling this 80% to 85% of the market out there for PC gamers are running NVIDIA cards. So Bethesda is going to be way more interested in making sure that those gamers who are interested in playing this game have an idea of where their hardware lines up. And when they come out with their PC spec sheet a month from now, I think it will be better than this, but not that much better. I don't think it's not gonna be that much better, you know. So just
slow-mo, legendary. Okay, look,
y'all might want to do what I did, which is build yourself a new PC.
Listen, the funny thing is somebody saw this and went out and bought a new PC. Guarantee it. Somebody in the world did it. Legendary Experience 4K. I'm looking at Micro Center's website.
Yeah.
For the Ryzen 7800 X3D.
Mm-hmm.
450. It's on sale for $419. It has
sounds about right.
8 megabits of L2 cache, 96 megabits of L3 cache, 8 cores, 16 threads, 128 gig DDR5, 5200 memory bus support.
Right. And so if you have a DDR4 motherboard, you're SOL. You're gonna have to get yourself a DDR5 motherboard because you can't like there's no cross.
There's no cross between DDR4 and 5.
If you're using DDR5, you gotta get a whole new motherboard. I mean, that's the new motherboard in addition. So you're not just spending $400, you're spending $400 plus. Which is, look, this entire mindset. This is everything that I just went through. This is the reason why I just decided to just build a new PC, because I was like, my CPU, my 9700K was not keeping up anymore. Let me go get a new CPU. What I'm doing Intel, guaranteed I gotta get it, because they one generation up is already not compatible with your motherboard. Let me go ahead and get a new motherboard. So that's just like I bought the CPU, and then I bought a $300 motherboard at the same time. So I spent $700 right off the break before anything else. And then since I didn't like my case, I'm like, let me go get a new case. Then I started looking. I'm like, the only thing really bringing over is my storage and my GPU. You gotta get new RAM for your DDR5 motherboard because your DDR4 RAM ain't gonna work on it. So literally, it's just everything is new at that point. So essentially, if you are so,
I might go break my CPU.
I would say wait. Well, actually, I don't know, because like now is a great time to build a PC. I think GPU stock is good. and things are going on sale all the time. You can get yourself a really good GPU right now for a less than MSRP price. I mean, CPU and motherboard prices are what they are, but you know, with Prime Day, I think Prime Day might be over now, but regardless, there has been a lot of sales, a lot of things to get stuff super cheap. RAM is super cheap right now. Storage is dumb cheap. Like, I mean, like ridiculous prices for Gen 4 M.2 NVMe SSDs, like ridiculous prices. So, okay, our case is Prime is over. Before Prime, I saw these SSD prices being dirt cheap. So look, you can build yourself a PC right now if you have the funds. Don't do it if you don't. But if you have the funds, you can build yourself a PC right now that can handle Starfield, whether it's what AMD is showing you, and you don't necessarily have to buy the stuff that AMD is showing you. You can stick it to them and buy their competitors if you want. But you could build a PC that can handle Starfield with no problem, and do so at I would say reasonable PC building prices. But Forte, I don't think you need to really worry about it, man.
I ain't worried about it. I got 16 threads, 32 cores, sir. I ain't worried about it. Even knowing I'm looking at the 7950X right now and it's on sale. It's on sale.
You about to I need y'all don't understand how often I've had the convince Forte not to buy something he don't need. Like it has been so often. TVs, expensive 4K monitors, all kind GPUs, and I'm just you don't need that.
You saved me a lot of money, I will say. You saved me some.
You don't need that.
I don't. My PC, like, dude, everything in my PC will serve me well for at least the next 3 to 4 years. Right. Everything in there. Only thing I think I'm lagging behind is my RAM, and my RAM, all I gotta do is just get more of it.
Yeah, I'm good on. Like I got a 64 gig RAM kit. So I'm only using two DIMMs.
Two DIMMs.
Yeah, so
two DIMMs is better than 4. Actually,
it is. I know for a fact, because when my previous PC, which now I've kind of retooled, put a RX 6650 XT in it and gave it to my son, and so with some like Gen 3 storage, so he's good to go. He's enjoying it, but I lost my train of thought. Oh, he still got the 64 gigs of Corsair Vengeance 3200 megahertz DDR4 RAM I have in there. But I remember when I put the extra RAM in, I noticed very much noticed the difference in speed was different, and it was just not. It's trying to tinker around with it and get it back to where it was. It was like the trade-off was fine, because I wanted the extra storage for content creation stuff. I mean, sorry, the extra RAM for content creation stuff, but it wasn't as good by just using two DIMMs. Regardless, not that big a deal. I guess we can just basically chalk this up to wait and see, but definitely understand that if you want to play this game Starfield, two things you're going to know for certain. You're not going to have DLSS as a crutch. So even those on the 4000 series cards that have DLSS 3, you're not getting frame generation.
No, you're not getting that.
AMD's FSR 3 with frame generation is supposed to come out in August or September. It's not going to be in this. I think they said FSR 2.1 would be what would be available on Starfield. Even who knows when or if they get around to implementing FSR 3 onto this game, but it ain't gonna be at launch. So these are things that you need to kind of just keep in mind. And again, we're not talking about whether the game is going to be good or not. We're just talking about the level of performance that you may get out of it on your PC. And I mean, I think that's the only viable option, honestly, because I'm not trying to play this at 30 frames per second.
Oh,
or
no,
what they
it
call
ain't
30 frames per second. That Xbox, I'm telling you.
Todd Hart himself ain't gonna play on that.
That Xbox Series X ain't gonna have a locked 30 frames per second on this game. I promise you it won't. Yeah.
I'll try it just to see, and then as soon as I try it, I'm gonna be like, yep, going over to PC.
Let's get on to this. Let's get into this last topic, guys. You ready for this, man?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Ready, promotion.
The FTC wasn't ready.
It seems like they still ain't ready.
Because who knows what the heck the FTC was talking about? Because good grief, they absolutely sucked in crunch time when it came to that preliminary injunction hearing to prevent Microsoft from closing on their ABK acquisition deal. So to catch people up for the multitude of people who have been like me and just really don't care and just want this thing to be over, I'm gonna give you a TLDR on this. So Microsoft was going to close the deal because if they don't close by July 18th, then the deal that they made for $69 billion becomes nothing, and Activision can collect $3 billion off of them and go on about their day. They were going to close the deal so that they can avoid that. The FTC tried to block them, and they were going to have a preliminary injunction put in so that like they could not close the deal until they go to trial in August. Now, this hearing with the judge that everyone's like, this judge's son works for Microsoft, which should be a conflict of interest. She should have reclused herself, but apparently the FTC chose her. So should the FTC have reclused their brain? Because that's their own stupid decision if they did that. Regardless, they had the case. The FTC did a terrible job proving their point. The judge seemed completely not convinced at all the entire time, 5 days or so of this hearing. And we got on Tuesday afternoon, we got the confirmation, or maybe it was morning, I don't know. We got the confirmation that she had chosen to deny the injunction to stop them from closing. Now, since then, the FTC late yesterday chose to appeal this decision, and we got some news before we went live tonight that the Judge Corley, of mother of Microsoft employee, chose to deny that appeal. Now, she's not the only one that has to deny this appeal for it to be officially denied. It would have to also go to the Ninth Circuit Court. I don't know. This Ninth Circuit Court has to also make a decision on it, and they probably will tomorrow, because if they don't make a decision by midnight tomorrow, going into Monday, it could be bright and early Monday morning and Microsoft could announce that ABK is officially a part of the Xbox family. So we're probably going to get a decision from the Ninth Circuit Court tomorrow, because if not, then they've made their own decision of, yeah, we're going to just allow it to happen. Now, that doesn't change the fact that, doesn't mean it's over, even though it's getting close to being over, and I can't wait for it to be over, good grief. But it doesn't mean it's over, because there's still going to be a actual court case with the FTC in August, although there's some people who think that if they don't get this injunction, that they might just quit, which is a possibility. But if they don't quit, there's still going to be a court case. But none of that changes the fact that Microsoft is going to go forward with their acquisition and whatever the heck else they got planned with ABK and all that good stuff. So, Anonymous the chat says, she denied to extend the TRO, which would have been, the TRO I think is to extend them to keep them from doing the closing. I think it's the premise. Isn't that the same thing? I don't know. Look, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know every legal term
Yeah, she was
and whatever.
They were just trying to get the injunction so they can be able to gather more evidence to be able to fight the case more. It was basically a stall tactic because they didn't have a case at that point, and that's what they were trying to stall it, knowing that Microsoft had a deadline of the 18th that this had to be done by, or they would have to either go to Activision and try to get their deadline extended, which more than likely Activision probably wouldn't have done. And then if that was the case, Microsoft more than likely would have just walked away from the deal because it would have cost them $3 billion at that point.
Yeah.
So that's why this is all super important, and all these deadlines and timetables are being like really pushed. Like the fact that she denied the appeal today, which everybody pretty much knew she was going to do because shoot, she already denied the injunction. So she was definitely going to deny the appeal, but now it's all on the clock because like you said, as of midnight tomorrow night, if the Ninth Circuit does not approve the appeal, then Microsoft anytime starting Saturday morning at 12:01 a.m.
Yeah. By the way, there are markets that have already pulled ABK off the market, so they're already kind of preparing for ABK to be acquired, and so the
Nasdaq is ready to pull them off of the stock exchange.
Yeah,
they're pulling them off on Monday.
Everyone's getting prepared for that, and it looks like that's the likely conclusion to it, which I don't know how you. I mean, I don't know how you do that. And then what if the FTC wins the case? Then you roll all this stuff back. I mean, I don't know. But regardless, it looks like it's finally going to be freaking over with. I'm actually, and I don't, because I really don't care either way because it doesn't really affect me. You're seeing my footage of Call of Duty. I'm going to play Call of Duty this fall, whether ABK is owned by Xbox or not. I don't care whether I get it. I'm not going to get it in Game Pass by this fall, so I'm still going to buy it. And if the 2024 version is in Game Pass or not, I don't care. But what I do care about is this stupid thing ending already, because I'm sick of everybody talking about it, everybody being lawyers and political analysts all of a sudden. I'm sick and tired of it. What's the quickest resolution to this is the FTC giving up. So FTC, please give up so we can move on. Is how I feel about it. Forte, what do you feel about this? What are your thoughts?
Listen, I just want this to be over with. And my biggest take is I've always felt that we were in a situation where Microsoft was always going to be in this conundrum where they felt like, especially, they can't grow. Because since they're such a massive company as it is already, everything that Microsoft wants to buy, especially, I mean, and I get it, this is $69 billion, it's the biggest acquisition in this type of sector in tech and gaming industry ever. So it's going to be a lot of scrutiny to it, and it should be. But I'm just kind of happy more saying that it no matter how big you get, doesn't mean you can't find a way to keep growing your platform, because that's kind of what this was a fight about. It was like, for a lot of people, outside of the people that was using it as a console war talking point, it's just about big businesses being able to still maintain the fact that, well, just because we're big doesn't mean that we shouldn't have the opportunity to grow. And I feel like this is Microsoft trying to find a way to make them even more of a player inside of the gaming sphere.
This is about revenue. This is about generating a ton of revenue and getting a ton of money out of what they do, especially in the mobile sector, as well as the influence of things that they can do with Call of Duty on all platforms, which is why they were more than willing to put this on the Nintendo Switch as well. Initially, of course, I do think, and I remember saying it when it first came out, I thought they were going to try to make Call of Duty exclusive, because I think what they wanted to do was to do a closeout strategy on PlayStation, get those Call of Duty gamers off of PlayStation and get them over to
Well,
Xbox. But
they actually did a model of foreclosure for Call of Duty.
Yeah, they did.
What that would look like.
Which is look, I think that was the initial game plan. Then they pivoted once they realized that was not going to work. They couldn't do what they did with ZeniMax with ABK due to how big ABK is and how much money they generate on an annual basis. Now that said, I think their game plan now is just to use it for what it does and to generate as much revenue as they can in all places with Call of Duty. And honestly, when you kind of look at like the numbers and some things that shocked me from this case is that PC gamers play Call of Duty more than the PlayStation and Xbox gamers combined. That shocked me, especially considering like it seemed like PlayStation gamers acted like they were the only people playing the game, and turns out you're like third on the list. Mobile is, called mobile is 50% of the revenue generated from it. Then there's PC, then there's PlayStation, and way down the list is Xbox. So like,
but PlayStation by its, think about it. PlayStation, we talked about this, I think last week.
Mm-hmm.
Them being third on that list behind mobile and PC. PlayStation still accounts for, just PlayStation by itself in the console space accounts between 12 to 14 billion dollars of revenue for Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I saw. Let me go to my bookmarks. There was a quote I saw that talked about the actual numbers. So Call of Duty has 70 million daily active users. 70 million.
That's ridiculous.
With primary platform being mobile, followed by PC and consoles. Xbox is the smallest percentage. And then it said Call of Duty has 100 million monthly active users, with number one being mobile, then PC, consoles. And there's, what else is it? There was something about the amount of revenue that was being generated, but I can't quite find it right now. But like, yeah, they make so much money off of it. It's no shock that you're gonna keep it everywhere, because what it's essentially doing is catapulting Xbox as a gaming platform into third place behind Sony and Tencent. And
right.
and it makes sense why Jim Ryan, in his very early in this, his emails were, oh well, it's no big deal. We got on. Look at what we're going to be doing. We're good. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I'm not worried about it. I talked to Bobby. I talked to Phil. It's all good. And then for him pivoting from that to his stance of, and both of them have over exaggerated, certain things. Xbox like, oh, we're so terrible. Oh, like you don't really believe, you don't feel that way. PlayStation act like Jim Ryan acting like they can't survive without it. They don't feel that way. But I think when they started to really kind of look at what this would do for Xbox as a platform and what it would bring them, and what I think probably for Jim Ryan, what his bosses started to say to him, you better find a way to block this, because we're not going to be just letting our competition just move up without actually attempting to stop it. So
here's the quote right here. In 2021, Call of Duty players spent an average of 160 hours per year playing Call of Duty. Call of Duty players spend more than 70% of their time on Call of Duty, spent an average of 296 on the franchise. It was recently confirmed that Call of Duty software accounted for over 1 billion in sales for PlayStation consoles in 2021. According to Sony's redacted documents, suggest the Call of Duty games are worth 800 million for PlayStation revenue in the US alone, and seemingly 1.5 billion globally. That figure jumped considerably when also factoring in Call of Duty players' average annual performance spending on PlayStation hardware, accessories, subscriptions, and services. The redacted figure appears to be 1.9 billion a year.
Also, this is other thing. Over 1 million PlayStation players only play Call of Duty on their PlayStation and nothing else. 6 million PlayStation gamers spend 70% of their time only playing Call of Duty.
Only playing Call of Duty.
So that 1 million, of course, is in that 6 million. So you could look at roughly, if say they were to foreclose Call of Duty on PlayStation and only put it on Xbox, you're not going to get all those people. Some of them might end up being kind of irate by that, and so maybe some of them will choose not to. But you can see a significant number of that 6 million going over to Xbox. But that's, in the grand scheme of things, that's not that many people.
It's not worth sacrifice.
It's not worth exactly. It's not worth the sacrifice of all the revenue of keeping it on there, because there are going to be people who buy Call of Duty, play it for a week, get curb stomped, never play the game again, then go next year, buy Call of, do the same thing over and over again.
Yep, exactly.
Or, you know, as player just said, they might go to PC instead. That's true, but like that's $70 that they got out of somebody for the 24 hours of time they spent on the game. It's not really about the hardcore Call of Duty player. It's about the casual Call of Duty player that's spending a lot of money annually on this game, and I think that's really important. I do think what's also kind of important is, so what? Let's say it goes through. Let's say they have ABK. How does this benefit what ABK is today being under Microsoft? Because we see what the benefit is for Microsoft on the revenue aspect and what they can put into Game Pass, which is, of course, eventually Call of Duty every year going into Game Pass. But outside of Blizzard's games being exclusive, not the current stuff, but the new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, there are people out there that feel like, oh man, we gonna get a Crash game, we gonna get all this old IP back, Hexen, yeah.
No.
Who's doing that? Who's making those games?
Not anybody under Activision.
They got 9 teams on Call of Duty right now, and they gotta build more teams to put it on cloud in the Nintendo platform.
Mm-hmm.
When are they gonna make a Hexen game? Why would they make a Hexen game? Because it ain't gonna generate anywhere near as much money as Call of Duty would.
Think about it like this, though. I was thinking about this the other day. I do agree with that, but I do think there are studios underneath Xbox. Think about studios like what's the name of the studio that made shoot. What's the game that came out last year?
Toys with Bob?
Not Toys with. I'm not talking about their studio. I'm talking about, so there's studios that could do like that could make some of the games that Activision has, that Xbox has.
Oh, so you mean like taking like a studio outside of Activision and then using the IP that Activision owns to then make those games. All right, so let's say that is a good idea, right? That could happen. You could have Xbox. You could have Xbox publishing.
I'm thinking like Tim Schafer.
Work with like.
Think about Tim Schafer.
Not Tim Schafer. No, because Tim Schafer already, as soon as they got Double Fine in there, they was trying to get Tim Schafer to make a Banjo game, and he said, "We ain't making that. We gonna make new IP over here."
He can make like a Crash game or something.
See, here's the thing: is that that's with the way they acquired these studios, they gave them the creative freedom to veto whatever the heck they want. So if they don't want to make whatever game you want them to make, they ain't gonna make it. And so you can't, like, Double Fine says we only gonna make original new IP. We're not even trying to make a Psychonauts 3. And it is what it is. That's how it was gonna work. I don't see Double Fine. I think you might have to go to Xbox Publishing and then bring in. So now after all these studios you got 30 plus studios, you're gonna have to bring in probably somebody outside of your 30 plus studios to bring back this old IP. And then also how we now have an understanding of how much AAA games cost and how long they take to develop. Anywhere between $150 to $200 million to make a AAA game. And then it takes about 5 to 6 years to get it developed. By the time you get one of these old Activision IP games out the door, you're looking at the next generation of consoles. So for the potential of that happening, for an Xbox gamer. Sure. You might get Hexen in 2029. You might get like an exclusive Crash Bandicoot in 2030.
Well, they're more likely to do a Crash than anything. Of all of those IPs, they made Crashes like recently. So I can see Crash still being something you'll get. But like when you said something like Hexen and stuff like that, and more than likely not.
Yeah. So I just look at it like I don't think this is the benefit that some people think it is. I also don't, I'm not saying it is like, it's completely worthless why they bought it. I mean, it's a clear idea why they bought it. They bought them. They're the biggest publisher on the market, and they now have that publisher's revenue would be their revenue, and that gives you a lot of freedom and control in the market to do what you want and to potentially leverage some things games wise. Probably not Call of Duty, but definitely other stuff. It's not all they make, right? Especially on the mobile side to help your ecosystem. Go ahead.
What do you think the percentage of revenue when this deal? Because I do think this deal is going to go through. I think Microsoft's going to pull it Monday morning. It's going to, especially if we don't hear anything from the ninth district by tomorrow. I think this deal is going to get pushed through, and it's still some roadblocks there. But how much revenue do you think Activision is going to account for under Microsoft? Because now it's a lot of people are going to probably say, well, it's their biggest. It's like they make more money than Microsoft in general when it comes to gaming. That's not the case, because there's a lot of games that they make money off of under the Xbox platform. So, but Call of Duty will definitely be a big piece of the pie, like a huge piece of the pie will come from Call of Duty. How much of that revenue do you think they'll make on a percentage just off Call of Duty across all platforms?
You mean, okay, do you mean after they get it on Nintendo?
No, because Nintendo's not going to happen, I don't think, until the next system comes out. 2
years from now, I think. Probably. At the
just
earliest.
Basically what they have now. Like, we got PC, mobile, still on PlayStation, Xbox. What does that revenue look like in the first couple of years?
Probably more than what they're getting right now. Probably be continuing to break records, because if you talk to a lot of like hardcore Call of Duty gamers, they don't like this Modern Warfare 2. A lot of them don't like Modern Warfare 2 and can't stand it. But somehow this game has broken all these records. So
every Call of Duty breaks records, it seems.
So you know, even though they hate it, the casuals apparently love it enough to go keep buying it, right? I think that will probably continue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I can see it continuing to keep going up, revenue-wise. And we, for better or for worse, no matter how it shakes out, and we've seen I always say it's a double-edged sword the way this works. Microsoft is so hands-off that it's good that they're hands-off, because some of their decision-making when it comes to game development and publishing is shaky. But it's also bad that they're hands-off, because when they need a parent to come in the room and deal with a situation that developers, or, you know, clearly the reason why ABK is even in the position that they're in right now anyway is due to some of their shady decision-making with employees and HR and stuff like that. The lack of interference from them when it needs to happen is also a weakness of theirs. But for those who think that they're going to destroy the brand, the only one that's going to destroy this brand is Activision, because I don't see Microsoft doing anything but cutting checks and counting numbers, and then talking to their investors on earnings calls to say, hey, look what we did. Look what we got, right? So yeah, I don't know. How do you think it's going to shake out as far as Activision and revenue wise?
I am under the assumption that Microsoft more than likely will start. I do think at a certain point within the next 2 years, you'll actually hear Xbox talk about the gaming separate from what it is under cloud. I think that's how much I think that's how much revenue they're going to get, where they'll actually want to say, this is what we're doing. This is what the Xbox division is doing, instead of combining it under cloud and services and stuff. Even though Game Pass will still be considered service, I think it's going to be more considered like, what is the Xbox brand doing? And with Call of Duty's revenue tied to it, I think it will be a lot more palatable for them to actually come out and talk about, you know, gaming under Xbox is up 126. Can you imagine the first year with Call of Duty? It will double. It literally might double their overall revenue. They'll be up like 700, like 150%.
And they still won't build a new team or a new studio to bring back these old games. Like,
nope. They still won't.
I'm saying like your scenario that it will be a team outside of Activision that makes it, and is the most likely scenario. And if it does happen, again, as I said, the budget and time to make those kind of games, you're looking at them marketing their next hardware, an Xbox Series V, Xbox Series Z, whatever you want to call it. Xbox 720, who the heck knows, right? You're looking at that piece of hardware where that game will be on it, because that's how long it takes to do game development nowadays.
Yep.
So, hey, look, let's get up out of here. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up for today? I think it's been a pretty awesome show so far, if I do say so myself.
It's definitely been an awesome show. I'm just really looking forward to this being over with, and when it's finally over, I understand, like, shout out to Anonymous talking about Sega. A year Sega will be under that tent too.
Oh, my gosh.
Listen.
You're not getting Sega.
Listen.
Hold on. No. Let me say you real quick.
Go ahead.
ZeniMax Media got acquired because the owner was dying and they wanted to sell, and they were in a bad position. So they sold to Microsoft because they had a great relationship with them. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Activision Blizzard was such a bad situation legally in California with all the nonsense they were doing behind the scenes, that they were trying to sell to anybody. They went to Meta first before they went to Microsoft. They wanted to be sold. Sega is doing better than they've done in years. Sega is on the upswing. The way Capcom came back, and now Capcom is doing better than ever. Sega is on their way up to that. And why at this point in time would Sega sell? Let me tell you what really happened likely here. We see the documents where Sega was on there, and they did a whole thing, and they did all this analysis and said, let's go get Sega. And what ended up happening? They had a brand partnership with them. And now it's great because all of Atlas's games, we saw all 3 of those games at the Xbox Showcase. All 3 of them. That's excellent. Y'all should be happy about that. Because before, you weren't getting that stuff. Now they're showcasing their new games and putting them on your show. That's great. That's progress.
It is progress.
So you went in trying to negotiate to acquire them, and you ended up getting a partnership with their super game, but they haven't talked about yet, but they think it's going to be the next revolutionary thing. And you're doing all this other great stuff, but that does not mean you're going to buy them. So it's still good. It's a net good. You went in there, you wanted to acquire them. They said no, but they said, you know what? Let's talk. You sat down and talked, and they started giving you games you weren't getting before. Now you got a chance to actually get in Persona 6 at launch. You're not buying Sega because they have zero reason to sell. When if you're an independent, if you're an entrepreneur who built a company, to build it up and then sell it at its height, that's one thing. But when you're Sega and you've been around for decades, and you done brought yourself up from the gutter after not being a platform anymore, and you've been through all this other stuff, why sell now? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't disagree with you, but all I can tell you is ever since all of these leaked documents came out And we said the same thing about Bungie when Pete Parson and all the conversation with them came out about Microsoft being real close to acquiring Bungie. And then remember when Pete Parson came on Twitter and vehemently basically said, "This is not true. We are not looking to be bought." And then literally a year later, they got purchased by Sony. So,
Bungie, again, different position.
No, I know,
Bungie was off independent, and look, even though I give a lot of crap to Bungie and Destiny, I was rooting for them as an independent developer.
Oh, all of us were. We were happy when they separated from Activision,
right? Because I wanted them to be able to be successful, because they're so not the kind of company that takes orders from anybody or does what. I mean, we saw how they were with Xbox. You know, hey, we wanted you to make Halo indefinitely. We want out. We'll buy ourselves out. Please get us out of here. Activision, this ain't working. We want out. I think at some point they're gonna want out of PlayStation too.
Oh, I literally felt that's the way, because they made it so they don't even get the games aren't even PlayStation's games.
I bet as soon as Sony try to push on them, they're gonna be like, "Get me out of here! Get me out! Well, we will buy our way out. We don't care." That's who they are, right?
That is who they are.
But they weren't. I don't think they were being successful on their own. They couldn't keep up with content. They didn't have the Activision support studios to help them keep making Destiny expansions. They needed to sell themselves to somebody that had a big piggy bank to help them, which was Sony, and do it on their own terms, which is Sony. Because what Sony's getting out of this is they're getting experts in live service games, and they're going to teach to them. It's invaluable what they're learning because they're getting knowledge. And they're getting, hopefully, be able to have a massive live service game that lasts years and years and years, like Fortnite in the future. And they're spending the $3 billion they spent on Bungie was well worth it at that point, right? But like, they weren't doing, so they're in a different position than Sega was, I think, because Sega is secure right now, and Bungie wasn't. And so when you're not secure, you go get security, which is the reason why Xbox is even in position to own two publishers that they didn't own 5 years ago, because they weren't secure.
Well, so the funny thing is, as much as I truly believe if the Activision thing didn't happen, because it had, like you said, the whole scandal popped off, California law popped off, the fact that the stock price dropped to $67, and in comes Microsoft saying, "We'll give you $97, $30 more than your shares worth." And I think that's how that happened. But if that didn't happen, I truly believe Square Enix would probably be like the Western side of Square Enix. All the studios they divest themselves of would have been under Xbox. And I think that's kind of why I think the overall, people always wonder, like, what happened to the overall, they had a really good relationship with each other. And ever since, this Activision thing popped off, I think Square was kind of looking at Xbox as a way of getting themselves out of trouble, especially with their Western developers. And once Microsoft kind of pulled away because of the Activision stuff, that's when you saw them really start getting rid of all of their Western division, and they started selling all of their stuff. And I think Xbox would literally have those studios if it wasn't for this ABK deal that just happened to go down. They still could have those studios at a later date. I just think that this would have already happened. Crystal Dynamic working on the Initiative's game. I think this would have already happened if it wasn't because of ABK.
I think they were doing like a trial with Crystal Dynamics at that time. I think they were kind of trying to like Crystal and Eidos Montreal, because Eidos Montreal was helping on Fable.
IO and stuff. Yep.
So I think they were kind of like, let's see how they are, and let's see, because if you notice. And I noticed this years ago when I did my my video about Xbox acquisitions and how they pitch themselves to be to acquire studios. They go after a certain kind of studio for the most part. You notice they didn't acquire Moon Studios, so people thought that was a given, and then we found out later on Moon Studios was a disaster internally. They didn't acquire Telltale Games, which went bankrupt, but Telltale was a big name. But then you find out financially and as well as management-wise, Telltale was a disaster. They acquired studios like NXL, who was run by the guy who used to run Interplay. Dude knows what he's doing. They acquired Double Fine. Tim Schafer knows what he's doing. They acquired Obsidian. They know what they're doing. They acquired Ninja Theory. Again, they know what they're doing. So they acquire studios that are established. They just needed money, but they make quality games. They don't really. So I think for them, they probably wanted to see what Crystal Dynamics is really like. It probably had a recommendation from the guy that runs the initiative, because he used to run them, Daryl Gallagher. But like, since he doesn't run them anymore, let's see where they're really at. You know, let's see how they are. Now you get to see them work on Perfect Dark Remake, and then after the fact, you can see whether you want to acquire them or not. Same thing with Eidos and with Fable, and probably with IO Interactive on that Dragon game they're doing, and other studios that they're working with. They probably got Sobo in a similar deal. Shout out to Snow Dragon with the $2 Canadian, says, think corporations are in charge of regulators? No, I think some regulators like to adopt the thoughts of some corporations when things are political and they are looking to prove a point. I think Lena Khan take example the FTC. I think Lena Khan is trying to prove a point. There was a congressman today when they were reaming her out at that hearing that said, who brought up a quote she said years ago, where she was like, she feels any $1 trillion corporation should be broken up. And that's just like, when someone has that kind of thought about any corporation, regardless of the market, then she's just going to be against this deal, whether if there was nobody that was opposing it, even if Sony didn't oppose it. I can see Lena Khan being like, nah, we can't let this happen, because she just don't like $1 trillion corporations getting bigger, period. And so it is what it is. I think that's kind of what this is, at least on the FTC side of things. I can't talk about, I don't know about the CMA. I don't know what the CMA and the reason why they chose to, what their motivation was to choosing to block the deal. But that's my thought on the FTC.
The CMA doesn't want to be at the table by themselves anymore. That's why they were like, let's make a deal. It's like, we can't be stuck here by ourselves.
Yeah. But let's get on out of here, because we just ended up having a whole second topic there, mini topic. Forte, where can people find you for the next week?
Oh, they can find me at Gaming Forte on YouTube. Probably not on Twitter because Elon Musk killed it. I did make a Threads account though. Did you make one, SloMo?
Make what again? Say what?
A Threads account.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I wouldn't. The first day it was out, I made a Threads account. I haven't been on it too often, but when I've been in there, it's very different than Twitter. People are nicer, much nicer.
They are. It's because everybody hasn't migrated yet.
Yeah, right. Once the weirdos and toxic people migrate, then it's going to all go to hell. But no, you tweet something out, like this is what I do, right? I'll tweet something out on Twitter. I'll copy and paste it, and then paste it on Threads, and then tweet, and then post it on Threads. The differences in the responses between Twitter is that there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like what you said and thinks you're an idiot for saying it. And on Threads, it's just people are just like, a few people like it and they may discuss it with you, but that's about it, really. So, Threads is cool. And I think I would say it's successful considering the 50 million people have signed up to it. So, but here's the thing, is that it's not about the first 2 weeks. It's about
the long term.
Yeah, it's 6 months. Are people gonna be talking about Threads, or are people will be, man, Elon messing up again? We need a alternative to go to. That whole talk will be going again. So I don't know.
Well, outside of that, Game Forte, YouTube, Twitter, Threads, places like that. DPS next week on my channel. Check it out. Gaming Forte, check out the YouTube channel. It's going to be great. Had a really good show with RDX this past week. So talked about all the same stuff we talked about over here, but you can get some more other opinions from the homies over there. So make sure you check that out. Check it out with them. And then Mama Luca, shout out to her for being in the chat, and all the rest of you amazing people. And shout out to the members on the channel, which we have Brap, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Donnell Brown, Erodimus, Deflex27, Dragonheart Yobi, Stardust Acero, Ramon Terrell, Hargi Chani, Corey Hale, the homie SloMoBackSlap, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. Really appreciate you guys for supporting us in that way. And we will see you guys next week if we don't do a stream over the weekend.
Yep. We're probably gonna play some Battlefield, just to let y'all know. So
yes, sir.
Look out for that. We'll stream it. On my side of things, shout out to Bay, Retardio, Donnell Brown, DexFlex27, Dragonheart Yobi, Enrique, Hargi Shani, Truth Serum, Erodimus, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Gaming Forte, Corey Hale, Stardust Acero, and that guy Smitty. Appreciate you guys for supporting us. You guys are awesome as usual. We're gonna get up out of here. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend. Don't let none the nonsense and foolishness you see tomorrow affect you mentally. Go out, touch some grass. Potentially touch your significant other if you have one.
Don't pull a hamstring while you're doing it.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. And enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your games. Peace out, guys.
Remember, it's the motion of the ocean, not how fast the ocean moves.
Let me get the outro.
Eyes of Guardian.